everyone, it's Di here from Di's Den. Happy New Year to you all, and I hope you had a lovely Christmas break, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. I hope you enjoyed yourself and you stayed safe. Today we're going to make this card, and it's not a new concept, it's been around for a long time. It's actually called a pocket slides card. So it folds flat like so to go into an envelope, but when you get it, you pop it up and it stands up just beautifully. You can't put a lot of layers onto the front of the card here because of the fact that it's got to go through this tiny slot that you cut here. If you cut the slot too wide, it's going to just flop around, and you don't want it to do that. So that's how that works, and it has a nice writing panel on the back, which is easy to write on because you can just fold it flat like this to write on it before you put it into the card. Fold it flat to go into your card, or you could write on it beforehand if you wished. So that's my two cards that I've done so far. This one was for my colour creation, and this was done in mint macaron, which was done last year, in December last year. This was my prototype, and I didn't put any layers on this, and I didn't like the way it sat, so I put layers on this one. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So let me pop them out of the way and I'll show you what you need. I've done a little bit of the work already because you don't want to see me sticking all these bits together. So anyway, we're going to use a piece of card that measures 4 1/8 by 11 inches. And then we are going to need, for my layers on the front and the back, like either side, you're going to need 2 pieces that measure 3 7/8 by 1 1/2, and 2 pieces of designer series paper that measure 3 5/8 by 1 1/4, and I've already done one of those for you. And then for the side bits, you'll need 2 pieces that measure 3/4 of an inch by 3 7/8, and 2 pieces of designer series paper that measure 1/2 an inch by 3 5/8. Now I've done one of each, so we'll just do the others when we get to them. Let's pop them out of the way. For our pop-up piece in the middle, we're going to need a piece of card that measures 3 by 5 1/2 inches. And then my layers, which are 2 3/4 by 5 1/4 and 2 1/2 by 5 inches. And my writing panel, which is 2 3/4 by 5 1/4 inches, that will go onto the back of that piece. Let's pop those out of the way for a minute. Now I've already cut out my peaches because I'm going to be doing some peaches, so I will tell you, you will need if you're going to follow this one, you will need this set. It's called Sweet as a Peach. It's in the annual catalogue. It comes with some beautiful dies, so you can buy it as a bundle. They have some really lovely dies in there. Oh, you can't see the dies, sorry. Really lovely dies there to go with the set. And so I'm going to be using this Have a Peachy Day for the front, which I'm going to do on these circles, and then on the back here I've got It's Your Day, Let's Celebrate You, Happy Birthday, and I've got them all together on one block so I can stamp them all in one go. For my circles, I'm using the layering circles. Now these are the circles that I'm using, which are the 1, 2, 3rd size largest size, 4th size largest size of the scallop circles, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th size of the plain circles. Now I've already cut out my peaches, but I will do one with you so you can see how it goes. So if you're going to do 3 peaches like me, you're going to need a piece of, and I've got this on the wrong side, I've got a ruler here, piece of card that measures 6 3/4 inches by 1 3/4 inches, and this piece would be 1 3/4 by 4 3/4 inches to make the peaches and the leaves. So I can pop those in the bin because I've already done those. I've already got my circles already die cut out, so let's pop them on one side. And before we start anything else, we'll do our peach so you can see how I did my peach to get this peachy look around the edging. So let's pop them on the side there, so they're out of the way. So I used Pale Papaya and Flirty Flamingo for my peach, and we know who will end up with the extra peach. And I stamped my peach die stamp and my Flirty Pale Papaya, and then with my dauber that I've got here with the Flirty Flamingo on it, I daubed that in there and went around the edge like so, like that, and then I just huffed on it to make sure it was nice and active, and popped it down nice and tight, and you get that pinkish hue around the edge. This look here is meant to be like that. It looks funny, but it isn't. That's how it's meant to be. It's the distinctive stamping. So that's how I did that part. And then with the leaf, I used my leaf punch stamp and Pear Pizzazz, sorry, and Garden Green. So let's pop them open. And I stamped this on the Pear Pizzazz, and using my dauber, the same as before, in my Garden Green, I just popped up a little bit around the edge like so, huffed on it, and then stamped that down, and you get that look of the two shading around it. That's an optional extra way of doing things, but I think it looks a little bit more realistic. So that's how I did my peach, and as this dries, it will dry a little bit cooler down, not quite so looking so harsh. So that's how I did that, and this will go to Mum as always. So let's pop that out of the way for a moment, and let's get stuck into our card, because I've already done all of that. So we're going to bring in our main card piece, which is the 11 inches by 4 1/8 of an inch, and we're going to bring in our Simply scoreboard, and on the long side we're going to score this at, hang on, I'll bring in my piece of paper so I can read this, over here at the 1 inch, and making sure that we use the thinner end of our stylus because we're using card. If we were doing this on designer series paper, we would use a thicker end. So 1 inch, 2 3/4 of an inch, 5 1/2 inches, 7 1/4 inches, 8 1/4 inches, and 10 inches. So again, 1, 2 3/4, I missed the 3 3/4. I knew I missed one. So 1, 2 3/4, 3 3/4, 5 1/2, 7 1/4, 8 1/4, and 10. That's all the scoring we're going to do, but we're now going to do a bit of cutting. So what we're going to do at our 5 1/2 inch mark, which is our our middle section here, we are going to put, and we could do this on the inside, it's probably easier on the inside. We're going to mark along that line at the 1/2 inch mark from that end, and the 1/2 inch mark from this end. Okay, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to move my piece of paper on here because I'll use my cutting board, and I could have brought over my other cutting board but I didn't, so we'll do this on the black one, which is not really very good. Either side of this score line we want to put a cut, so we're going to pop the ruler up to the score line, and we're going to cut from that mark, that 1/2 inch mark there, down to that 1/2 inch mark there. Once we've done that, we're going to turn it around, and we're going to pop this up against the score line again, and we're going to cut between those two marks once again. So virtually what we're doing is we're just cutting out that score line there. So once we've done that, we can then just give that a little nick on each end to remove that section in the middle, like so. And that's our slot for our card. Let's bring in my piece of paper here so it's easy to see. So that's our slot in the middle of the card, and that's all the cutting we're going to do. So let's pop that blade away so nobody hurts themselves on it. And we're going to score all of these, fold all of these score lines, all of them, including the one that you've just cut. So we're going to fold and burnish all these score lines, all as mountain folds. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to bring in our ruler once more, because we need to mark one of these. Now it doesn't matter which one, but you want to mark this one at the 1/2 inch mark at each end as well. Oops, that's a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. You know, you're not going to see those marks, so we're not going to worry about whether or not we erase those. So now we're going to glue on our pieces of designer series paper pieces onto our layers. Now these are our 3 7/8 by 1 and I don't know, let me look at this piece of paper again. 1 1/2 inches, and this one is the 3 7/8 by 3/4 of an inch with the 1/2 inch piece of designer series paper on the top. Now I have a designer series paper here that is actually directional, so you will need to watch that. If you've got a directional paper, you do need to watch which direction you pop them in. And they're going to go into those two sections like so. Oops, hang on, I just dropped the glue on the floor. That wasn't very clever, was it? There we go. So with it facing you, if you've got directional paper, make sure that you put your direction facing in the correct orientation, and make sure it should go between those, the slot and that first score line, and then the other one, the little one below it, just here. Then we're going to turn it 180 degrees, and I'm going to just get that glue off the top of that. It's gone all yucky. Oh dearie me, that's better. Must have. And we're going to do exactly the same again. So it doesn't matter at this stage which one is the front and which one is not. Just making sure, once again, that that is within there in the straight way. I don't know what that bonk noise was. That was really weird. Just hope there's nothing in here with me. And then we're going to pop our other one into that section just there. Okay, so I'm going to pop that on one side, and then we're going to do our stamping on the back and then glue these all together. So I'm going to stamp this one in the Pear Pizzazz because I just think it will look really snazzy. That's just me. So I'm just putting this onto the back of my card. And it says, "It's your day, let's celebrate you, happy birthday." And for the moment, that's all the stamping we're going to do. So we're going to pop that on one side, let it dry off a tiny bit, and we're going to add our layers on this, onto our green piece. We're going to put our designer series paper. Pop that over there. I don't want it to fall on the floor again. And pop that onto here. And then onto this one. Now if you're going to put any other stamping onto your piece of card here, your writing panel, make sure you don't put anything below the 1 inch mark, because otherwise you won't see it. If you pop that on there and you mark up 1 inch, just to make a mark so that you know not to stamp below that, unless you would like it not showing properly. So for me, I did that in my first one, which I'll show you in a second. Just pop this onto the back. I did that on my first one, as you can see, and you can't see it because it doesn't show here very well. Not thinking. So we don't want to do that. Okay, so we've got our piece of cards there. Now we're going to pop this piece that's been stamped on for our writing panel and our 2 layers on the front through the slot here, making sure that your writing is, when it's open like this, is the correct way up. Otherwise this panel is going to be upside down. So you need to make sure that this panel, when you poke it through, is with the writing this way when you're laying it flat. What we're going to do next is we're going to then fold this bottom one in, the one that you've got your 2 little marks on, and bring this one down on top of it. So we know that that's where it's got to go. So we're going to push that back a little bit for a second and make sure this is nice and firm. We're going to just place some glue across this section where you have made your marks. So there's your little marks, 1/2 inch marks either side. We're now going to bring this piece down on top of this, and between those 2 little marks there, if you can just see them, I don't know if you can see those marks. You can see my bit of glue there, I know that. Between my marks and level with the bottom of that card piece. So we're going to push that down nice and tight. It doesn't matter if there's a bit of glue hanging out the side, because what we're going to do next is we're going to fold this top one down and we're going to pop some glue all the way along this top one from one end to the other. And then we're going to fold that over so that it meets the bottom one and it folds everything inside, squishing it like a sandwich in between the 2 pieces. And that's how our card will go. And as you can see, my writing's up the correct way. Okay, so that's how the card will sit after you have done your side pieces, your bottom pieces here. You've sandwiched that piece in between there, making sure it's nice and tight. So while that's sitting there, I'm just going to pop something heavier onto it, like that. We will do our stamping onto our other piece, which is our green one, white one, and I'm going to do it actually in garden green so that it stands out a little bit more than the front one. And it's going to say, "Have a peachy day." So now I'm going to glue my circles together. And while I'm waiting on that to dry still a little bit, I'll just get my peaches here, and I'm going to pop a bit of glue onto the, that wasn't very clever, was it? That didn't stick very well. Onto the peach top there, I'll just pop it on there, that'll be easier. And stuck down, so that's nice. So now we can pop this up again, right, so that it's going to sit beautifully like so onto the side. This is probably the hardest part because you're going to have to hold it to put on your pieces on the front, on the top piece. So I'm going to glue this one down flat that says have a peachy day, and one of my peaches, I'm going to glue that flat onto there as well. So I'm just going to pop him over there like so, and using a few of my my plain rhinestones, so I'm going to pop some of these onto this piece here. I'll just pop 3 along the bottom there. Can't see them. I've got them on my fingers already. Oops, stick. There we go, that's those on there. Now I'm going to use a couple of dimensions onto the back of these ones, and pop these up on dimensions because of where they're going to go. They're going to be fine. Oops, get off of there. Alright, so our card is ready. It will take a little bit to hold it down at first, but as time goes on it will stay down nicely. Oops, we don't want to go too off the edge there, so we need to come in a bit more for our peaches to sit onto the front of the card. And I think I'm going to put the other one on the back. Oh, excuse me, I've got a bit of a croak again. That's because the air conditioner's going in here. And that's our card for today. Ouch, I stuck that pin in my finger. That was very clever. So I hope you've enjoyed today's card. It's, as I said, it's called a pocket slide card. And they are absolutely gorgeous. Very, very easy to make. And very effective. Just remembering, if you're putting anything onto the front of the piece here, see how I've got to just ease that through there a tiny bit. We don't want anything with a lot of get in there, that's it, a lot of, oh gosh, I'm having a real trouble here with this one. There we go. A lot of height on there, because otherwise it won't go through. As you could see, I was struggling to get those dimensions through there. They will go through, but you just need to ease them through a little bit like I did there. It will take a little bit of time to ease it through. Oh, come on. It's, as you can see, I'm having a tiny little bit of trouble easing them through, but they do go. So you don't want too much on that, because of otherwise, as I say, it will take a little bit of pressure for you to pop it through. But the popping it through is not an issue, because once it's up, the person's not going to pop it down, are they? So that's our card. I'll pop it on that angle so you can see it much better. And that's the back. So there's plenty of room to write. You could have put this up higher if you wanted to. And you can put things over the top a tiny bit, but not out the sides, because of going through this slot. It's not because of the width of going into an envelope, it's just so that it goes in this slot. You can't make this slot much bigger, otherwise if you make the slot too big, there's nothing for it to hold on to on the sides. So I hope you've enjoyed that. If you would like the written tutorial for this, please head over to Diane for stamping, crafting and tutorials. If you've enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I always answer all my comments. It might take me a couple of days, but I do answer all the comments that come up on my YouTube. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I will see you again next week. Bye for now.